So I've been in a story mode lately. I don't know why. I've listened to a lot of podcasts, read a lot of stories. And so this morning I want to share with you a story from my life. So in between my first and second year of graduate school, I got an internship at Greensboro Urban Ministry. Some of y'all have heard me tell stories from this place before. And as a reminder, it's kind of like Tri-Valley Haven, right? We help people who are unsheltered, people who need help with their bills, people who need help with food, groceries, getting job training, finding jobs, kind of getting back on their feet, right? And so they assigned me to be one of the pastoral interns at Greensboro Urban Ministry, and I had never worked in that setting before. I was a city boy who grew up in the suburbs of Charleston, and so I was extremely nervous, right? Because all the stereotypes that I had heard about a certain group of people and section of society made me scared of them. And there's a bunch of different reasons that God placed me in that internship that I don't want to get into this morning. But I remember on my first day, it was a Monday morning, I drove from Durham to Greensboro, which is about an hour drive, sweating bullets, so nervous, thinking, what am I going to have to do here? What do I have to do every day? Am I going to have to talk to people, pray with people, I don't know how to cook, my mind was just spiraling. And so I show up, and I'm going to call him Pastor Pete. He was the executive director and the pastoral leader at the Urban Ministry, had been serving there for over 30 years. Pastor Pete welcomed me and said, hey, come on, in 5 minutes we got a staff meeting. I want you a part of it. Okay. I thought I was going to get a tour, all these different things, but okay, cool. I'll go to the staff meeting. And so I walk in, and they had a really big staff of about 30 or so people, and they're all just sitting in one big circle. And then me and another intern from another graduate school were sitting next to each other in this circle. And Pastor Pete sat down, and I promise you, I did not making this up. I didn't know the kids were going to do that this morning. But Pastor Pete said, all right, everybody, we've been doing this for 30 years. Everybody flap your angel wings. And I sat there, and I'm like, what do you mean flap your angel wings? And so I watched grown adults go, and they got up, and they moved around, and I'm just sitting there awkwardly, what am I getting into? I don't know what I want to do with my life, and they told me to come here. And he looked at me and the other intern and said, flap your angel wings. And we're like, dude, why? And he's like, flap them, because you don't know, lesson 1, you don't know when you're going to be an angel to someone today. So lesson 1 for y'all, always have your wings ready, always be flapping them. No matter how you feel, no matter if you got the crud, no matter if your voice sounds funky, no matter if you've had a bad day, no matter if God feels distant from you, no matter if you're mad at the world, always have your wings ready and flap them. And I was like, okay, this is a weird start to a staff meeting, but let's go. I'm all in. This guy's funky, cool, different. I'm all in. And he said, okay, y'all know the poem. I'm going to read you a poem. If you want to recite it to me, you can recite it back with me. I'm like, oh boy, they got a poem they recite every Monday? Okay. And I tried to remember the poem. I tried to look it up, couldn't find it this week. So this is from memory. This is from 11 plus years of memory. This is the poem that I can remember. Amongst you is a person grieving. Amongst you is a person who is mad at themselves for making what they think is the worst mistake of their life. A person who will make the worst mistake of their life in the near future. Amongst you is a broken person. A person struggling with depression. A person struggling with anxiety. A person who feels deeply alone. A person who has nowhere to sleep. A person who has felt hunger. Amongst you is a criminal. A thief, a hypocrite. Amongst you is a person filled with greed, a person who questions their existence, a proud but ashamed person, a person who is working through a broken relationship. Amongst you is a person who is questioning God, a person who does not trust God, a person who does not trust the church. Amongst you is a person who does not trust the world. Amongst you is a person who no longer trusts the government. Amongst you is a person who struggles to get out of the bed in the morning. Amongst you is a person who is embarrassed to show who God has truly made them to be. Amongst you is a person trying. Amongst you is a beloved person. Amongst you is love. And for the next 8 weeks, I heard that poem every Monday morning. And that's what he started staff meeting with. And after every staff meeting, he would tell us to close our eyes. And I'd like us to do the same thing right now. So close your eyes, take a deep breath. And he would ask us to picture the faces of all the people that you have seen in the last week. It could be somebody at the grocery store. It could be family members, best friends, someone that you always drive by on your way to work. It could be a random person that popped up on your phone on social media, a person on your television screen. Try to picture all the faces of the people that you've seen this week. Okay, and then he asked us to open our eyes. So y'all open your eyes. And he said this, I can guarantee you, you're going to see a face this week that you judge. That you judge for a mistake they've made. That you judge for how they look. That you judge for your socioeconomic status. That you judge because you're human. But you judge because you've absorbed things from the world that have told you about different people. As my southern folks like to say, you judge them because you've inherited a bunch of baloney. And then he would say, it's okay. You're human. That's going to happen. But when God places that person in your life and you begin to judge them, you have a choice. Do you continue to judge them for them being human, for mistakes they've made, or for just the bad circumstances they have? Or do you love them and see them as beloved? He said it's plain and simple. Do you choose to love them and try to help them, no matter what? Point blank, into discussion. And after he said that, the room was always quiet. But I remember sitting there thinking, wow, that's literally what Jesus calls us to do every day. And it seems so complicated, but it's so simple. God puts an angel in your life. How do you respond to them? Do you judge them? Or do you love them? Now, ever since that moment, I'm a human being. I haven't done a good job of that. That summer, I judged a lot of people. I had a lot of judgment in my heart. I had a lot of lenses and preconceived notions that I had to shed. But I think what our scripture is calling us to do this morning is simple and complex. It can change our lives and change the world. You have a choice. When you see a face, do you judge them? Or do you love them? Do you hear about the story of their life and embrace their humanness? Or do you brush it off as another person that doesn't agree with you, doesn't look like you, doesn't think like you, doesn't act like you, didn't vote like you? Or do you love them because God has called them beloved, because they are an angel? In my experience that summer, I interacted with people that I thought I'd never interact with. And by the end of that summer, I didn't judge as much. I was just open. And our scripture today talks about, are you welcoming the angels in your life? I'm not saying that we, church, this week are going to get over the preconceived notions we have of people. I'm not saying that it's possible for us to get over the anger that we might have in our heart about what's going on in the world. What I'm asking us to do is be more open. Be more open to the faces and the blessed and beloved souls that God places before us. And say, hello, angel. I'm going to let love flow. I'm going to allow the love that God has placed between all of us flow, and I will no longer be a brick in the wall that divides us. So the task this week is simple. a face you see that you want to judge and not listen to, not interact with. In your mind and in your soul, say, hello, angel. Hello, love. I'm open.